So let us go to page 5. And the phrase that says redefine the benchmark to increasing your capacity for effective ministry. You see that?
No, I go from page 4 to page 6. I don't have a 5.
It's on the back.
You should have.
No, it's 7.
What?
Nope.
I made copies of mine. That should be in it.
Here it is, I'm sorry.
Okay. There you go. All right. So you see redefining the benchmark to increasing your capacity for effective ministry. You see that? Okay. So this helps in many ways. First, it keeps our eyes on the prize, namely effective ministry, not just doing more stuff or packing more people in the room. Does anybody understand that? A lot of people mean that, no, I pack a lot of people in the room and, oh, we need to be in this, we need to do, and we think that we are doing ministry. That's not what it's all together is. Second, it allows for no excuse. We are always striving to increase our capacity. Lack of numerical growth is not an excuse to do ministry with anything else than the full commitment of our heart, soul, mind, and strength. So for example, we are here this morning, we have our potluck, and we are here, and we are doing what, we're going to have our potluck after, but we are here, and we are doing what is effective. We are doing it with the right spirit. We are doing it with the right mind, in love, in harmony, in unity. That is ministry. In the Old Testament, God always used people who are what? Willing. You ever read the Old Testament? He uses people who are willing to work, who has a desire to work. That's the people he uses. If you are unwilling, God is not going to use you. He uses the people who are willing to serve in whatever capacity, with what they have, no matter how small it is. Their desire, their will is what God is interested in. Third, it will remove unnecessary guilt. If we are doing better, more effective ministry, we don't walk away feeling defeated if it doesn't lead to bigger attendance, because bigger attendance isn't the goal. Effective ministry is the effective ministry is the goal. Right? So if I come here, I would have defeated my purpose. If I come here, nothing is wrong with filling all the pews, but if I come here just to fill the pews with people, I am going to defeat my ministry, or I am going to defeat the purpose of God's what? Ministry. Okay? So effective ministries are our own thing. It's not just filling the pews. So last week the family came, this week they said they cannot come. They don't show up. What is going to happen? You're going to feel dejected because they are not here. Yeah? You still go on. You still preach. You still do what God's intended for us to do. Fourth, when we measure effective ministry by kingdom impact rather than attendance, it frees us to do ministry without an agenda. People are more likely to trust us, and the increase we carry when there is no appearance of trying to gain something for ourselves. You understand that? I think I said it before I read it. Fifth, it's a bigger way to look at the church and our place in the world. Stuck in a small building, increase your capacity by doing effective ministry from the building, not just in it. In a rural area with a small population, which is Palmberg, deepen your impact by capitalizing on the strength of community relationship, not just pushing for bigger attendance. So you remember when I was telling you that we need to, you know, I told you I went into the town and I met the gentleman by the author, he's the owner, by the author store right here, remember? And then when you guys have the thing on 4th of July, guess who I met? It was him again. And he remembered me, you know? So building a relationship is good. You know, that is how we get people to come. We build a relationship, and then by some other means, I think I met him another time. Can't remember. All right. There is this man. He sells melon every summer. I met him a couple times, and I still informed him, but I stopped and I bought a melon from him. I am building what? Relationship. You know? I went to the dollar store. Is it the dollar store? Is it a dollar store? Yes. And I walked around and I purchased something, and I introduced myself to the customer service person there, the teller there. She may be the manager. And then I said, you know, hi, my name is so-and-so, you know, I'm the minister for the Palmberg Church of Christ. I am building what? Relationship. Okay? So, this is how we introduce ourselves to people in the community and the surrounding area. It's the same thing with the lady from Walmart. I go there, we talk about Jamaica. She has been to Jamaica. She liked the people, she liked the food. And so I have a conversation every now and then. I am building what? Relationship. Okay? Called to minister in ways that are small and intimate rather than large and loud. I'm going to say that again. Called to minister in ways that are what? Small and intimate rather than large and loud. Make simplicity your calling card by doing those things well. Alright? It doesn't have to be a big splash. You know? A big thing. Some little things. Some little things. And then God will do the rest. Remember, sometimes it takes the wrong people to change the world. Get the right people on the bus doesn't work as easily in a small church. Since we don't have the ability to hire in from the outside, we must figure out how to fulfill the Great Commission, and the Great Commission using the parts on the table and the people already on the bus. Can anybody explain what this is saying? You believe you can't do it. You sitting in the pews, you believe you can't do it. But you can. All of us can. We don't have to yes, if we have the money, we can keep bringing in people. But let me ask you a question. Are they going to stay here? Are they going to remain here? No. Okay? They come and they hype us up, and they will hype up the community, and they go on. You and I are the ones that need to be hyped up. Because we are the ones who remain here and live here. We have to be on fire for Jesus Christ. We are the one on this Panburn bus. You understand? And so we can find little ways of being effective ministers, doing effective things in our own ministry. Or you think it's the minister alone have a ministry? No. Because I showed you from 2 Corinthians chapter 5 that we are ambassadors of Christ. I show you that everybody has their own ministry. Sister Miller, you had the ministry of taking care of Sister Ruby before our late loving dear Sister Ruby. That was a ministry, I didn't know. Did you know that? And you go and pick her up? That was a ministry. And I can tell you, her family will never be grateful for what you have done. That was a ministry. And this little thing, Sister Agnes, you doing the bulletin and all that, that's a ministry. Every single person, Brother Anthony, you have your own skills, that's a ministry. So we are the ones that need to be hyped up. We are the ones that can influence people in this community by the things that we do. So Great Commission is using the parts on the table and the people are already on the bus. Okay, I think I defined that clearly. Using the parts on the table and the people already on the bus. We are the ones that are here. We need to do this. So let us look on change in small churches. Change, that is 6, brother. Okay. ABCs of change. Always be changing something. All church involves disruption, a disorientation and reorientation, integration. But do not let your church change muscle atrophy. One of the worst mistakes a church leader can make is to change nothing for a long time, then change several things all at once. Churches that seldom change don't become good at it. Churches that have a regular process for change do it well and in a healthy way. Now let me explain myself. I'm not talking about changing the doctrine of the church. That is not what I am talking about. Okay? I'm making that about the doctrine. The church, the word of the Lord is timeless and it does not what? It does not change. That is not what I'm talking about. We're talking about the dynamics. The difference from 20 and 30 years ago till now, and 50 years ago until now, in a rural area, and it happens all over the world, because I remember when I was a boy, rural areas used to boom with agriculture. Agriculture was the mecca of my rural area. I mean, I'm talking about citrus like oranges and bananas and coconuts and all those type of food. But that's not what is happening now. You know what is happening now? Huh? You know what is happening now? Industries. Not only industries, but more like housing. That is what is taking over. People are not planting anymore. Like one time.
So as a church leader, what would be some of the things that you would, off the top of your head, that you would do to change? You know that this is a subtle way, or you got to scare that kind of money? You're dealing with an old congregation.
Yeah.
Okay?
So What I'm saying, I don't want you to feel comfortable, but what I'm saying, don't worry because the pews are so empty. What we are still going to do the Lord's work, and we are going to be effective. You know, people say, well, everybody's leaving and everybody panicking. Don't. Ministry, I used to believe when I was in Jamaica, and I said it again, I said it before, I'm going to say it again, that when some missionary came down, they qualify the minister's job based on the amount of people that are being baptized. And that is just one aspect of what? Ministry. And it makes you feel, if you don't have a baptism, every quarter or whatever, it's as if the minister is not doing what? He's not doing anything. And that is just one aspect of what? Ministry is more than just baptism. Baptism, then what? Going to all the world and preach the gospel, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and then what? Teach them to observe what? All things, so that they can remain what? Faithful until death. That's another aspect. Yeah? So if they were coming down, when they come down, if they were baptizing up to 25 persons and coming back to the States and giving report, and then when they go back, they only see what? 5 persons remaining, they believe that what? The minister is not doing anything. Well, with me, anytime anyone is baptized, I work on them so that they can remain what? Faithful. So the minister cannot be in the field and working on them at the same time. It's going to be stretched thin. And that is why ministry is a collective work in the church. It is everybody's what? Business. Yeah. It's everybody's business. But what we are not going to do, we are not going to turn the Lord's church into a prosperity gospel to win people. Because there is no thing in the Bible that speaks about prosperity gospel. We're not going to do that, because if you turn God's church into a prosperity kind of church, then you have to run a prosperity ministry to keep them. Huh? Yeah. And that is not in the book. Okay? And we are not going to strip God's church of Jesus' rights to fill up a church or fill up a building. That is not what we're going to do. But what we're going to do is to understand the dynamics of why people are moving to the cities, why the cities have bigger churches. What we are going to understand is that even though we have not baptized anybody, we are still being effective as a ministry or as a church. How are we being effective? We're being effective. I remember when I did the funeral for our late sister Ruby, that there were people in the community that came up to me, and they were so appreciative of what we did. Did anybody come up to you and express that, Sister Agnes, Sister Millie? Yes. And so, that is a ministry. We have left a lasting impact. God has used us to left an impression on the way how we cared for our late sister Ruby, and the way how we cared for her family, and the family was pleased. That is a ministry. You sow that seed of kindness and love. That is a ministry. Changing small churches, the second point. Leverage tension instead of creating more tension for people. There's always enough of it to go around, leverage the tension that already exists. And anybody elaborate on that? Do you understand what it means to leverage tension instead of creating tension? So, I'm going to give you an example.
Thank you.
Before some persons left, and I think you weren't here, we were trying to soup up or beef up our ministry. And in order for this to be done, if we are bringing in people to help soup up and beef up the ministry, we also need to do an antecedent on them, right, Anthony? You understand what I mean by that? Antecedent? If you are bringing in foreign people come here, they are saying they are Church of Christ because there are some Church of Christ that are not compliant with what? The doctrine, right? And so when we do antecedent on them, they may not fall in line with the way how we walk. We worship, but one or two persons might want them to what? To come in. And when we do antecedent on them, and we say, listen, they can't come in, the one or two person might want. Feel like we don't want to what? Use them, and it creates what? Tension. So leveling the tension is for all of us to understand that when we are doing ministry, we must all be on the same point, and we don't want to add any additional tension.
So no debating. Somebody, you know.
Yeah. We don't want to inflate something that is. It doesn't really need inflating.
Yeah, I'm so good at that.
You know, and we have to be what? And we have to be patient. Okay. You think, let me use a scripture, because I'm not tearing on anybody. Matthew chapter 17. Jesus was on the mount of what? Transfiguration. You remember that? Peter, James, and John said, Oh, Jesus, it's good for us to be here. Let us make 3 church. One for whom? Moses, one for Elijah, and one for what? For you. Peter didn't know, he didn't understand. And then God spoke from heaven and said, listen, Peter, you need to listen to Jesus Christ. Listen to Jesus. It's not for you to come and make 3 churches. Listen to whom? To Jesus. Hear him. You ever read that passage, Brother Anton? Everybody read that passage?
Right.
Yeah? You want to read it? You want us to read it? So, Matthew 17.
Matthew 17.
Yeah. All right. And verse 1 said, after 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John, his brother, led them up into a high mountain to themselves, and he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. And behold, Moses and Elijah appeared to them, talking with him. Then Peter answered and said to Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, let us make here 3 tabernacles. Huh? A tabernacle is three tabernacles. One for you, one for Moses, and one for what? Elijah. While he was still speaking, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and suddenly a voice came out of heaven saying, this is my beloved, in whom I am well pleased. Hear him. So we want to contend with all that we want to contend. Why should you hear him? Why should you hear him, church? Why should Peter, James, and John listen to him? This is a hard question. It's a Bible question. Because in chapter 16, from verse 13, Jesus gave Peter the kingdom, the keys to the kingdom, and said, I will build my what? My church. So how can, in down further down the line, Peter is now going to come and say, let us build 3 tabernacles. Huh? Do you understand what I'm saying? In Matthew chapter 16, before he got to the Mount of Transfiguration, from verse 13, he came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, and he asked his disciples, who do men say that I am? And they said, some say that you are Elijah, one of the prophets. But Jesus said to them, but who do you say that I am? He was speaking to the 12. And it was Simon Peter who said, thou art the Christ, the Son of what? The living God. Jesus said, flesh and blood has not revealed this unto you, but my Father who is in heaven. Because you have made this confession, Peter, that I am the Son of God, upon this rock I will build my ecclesia, and the gates of hell will not what? Prevail against it. So my church, so how can Peter know? How Peter didn't understand what Jesus was saying, but here a voice from heaven, God has to say, listen, you need to listen to what Jesus said to you. There's no one church for Moses and one for Elijah and one for... It's just one body, one kingdom. You understand that? So, Peter was inflating it, creating attention by saying, let us make what? 3 tabernacles. You must inflate the thing. But God said, no, you need to listen to whom? Listen to the instruction that Jesus Christ gave you from the beginning. He's going to make one, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So that is just one example of how we can inflate tension rather than leveraging it. When we leverage tension, it means now that all of us are on one path and we can move forward and be effective ministers in our ministry. Any question? Sorry, any comment? Alright, thank you for your time. I hope I expand on that a little bit. And we're going to stop at handling change responsibly, no surprises. Handling change. And we pick up from there.